It was Halloween on Saturday. Texas won 35-6, and BYU turned the ball over way too much.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week in the show. We talked about it on our pregame show. We just mentioned it as you and I were talking before we came on the show. In this league, the worst teams in the league are better than most teams that have been on BYU's schedule in their old days of independence and in the old Mountain West and the old WAC. You turn the ball over and you're negative in turnover margin, especially when you give up points, we call them terminal turnovers, or you give up a punt for a touchdown. You have a hard time beating anybody, let alone Texas, who's in the top 10 in the country. And so just too many turnovers. Keaton Slovis ended up 24 of 39, 197 yards. Would like to see a little bit more production out of that. But 2 interceptions. You know, a tip ball on one, and
kind of the other one went through. Lassiter got a hand on it.
Yeah, actually 2 tip ball interceptions and a fumble. So on an unblocked player, on a blown blocking assignment, right? So that's a tough thing to go out and win. Darius Lassiter had 5 receptions for 75 yards. He's emerging as a really great
He had a great
weapon.
47-yarder. We spotlighted it on after further review, which you can see on the BYU TV app anytime tonight.
So did we figure out that Lassiter could come back next year?
He will. I interviewed him for game day for this weekend, and he's back next year.
For some reason, we were thinking he was a senior, but the COVID thing, we can never figure this out. If he's back next year, wow.
He and Chase Roberts.
Because he just keeps getting better. He's a transfer, and sometimes it's hard. He seems like he's really starting to grasp the offense and be aggressive. I love that he's coming back. You know who else is coming back next year? Aiden Robbins, right? Aiden Robbins is 17 rushes for 56 yards. Not the kind of production you'd like to see, but man, did he finish some runs, and he's shown flashes of brilliance now that he's feeling healthy. Flashes of some really physical running, which BYU's missed. Problem for BYU on the offense, the turnovers, which we've already talked about, and they were 2 of 13 on third down and 2 of 3 on fourth down. And honestly, I don't know how many times we're going to analyze this, but you're 2 of 13 on third down because your average yards to gain that you have left on third down is one of the worst in the country if you're BYU right now.
Yeah.
They average 3rd and 8. Like NFL teams don't convert on 3rd and 8. So, yes, they have a third down problem, but guess how the third down problem gets solved? Be productive on 1st and 2nd down.
Exactly.
And which basically I'm saying is the offense has been bad.
Yeah.
They're not getting positive yards and production on 1st and 2nd down. If you have a bunch of 3rd and 4s, you're going to convert a high percentage of those. If you have a bunch of 3rd and 8s, you're not. And that's been their issue. They have just had very poor production on 1st and 2nd down.
On the defensive side of the ball, they forced 2 turnovers and had 2 4th down stops at the goal line. And they gave up 35 points, yet it felt like the defense played good because they had so many short fields, the Longhorns, after those turnovers.
Remember, they had 21 points on a total of like 40 yards of total offense because they had a punt return for a touchdown, 72-yard punt return for a touchdown in the first quarter. Then they had the interception that they ran back to the 26-yard line and scored. So that's 26 yards of offense. And then they had the fumble and got a score. So their first 21 points came on 40-some yards of total offense.
Yeah. Can't do that on the road.
That's killing your defense.
Can't do that at home.
That's killing your defense.
Yeah.
And it's not indicative. The score, the number of points scored is not indicative of how this defense played because the defense made enough plays, 2 big 4th down stops against a really good team, enough plays to win a game. But not with the turnovers, where they were on the field, the short fields that they gave, and a punt return for a touchdown, not enough to win.
Trevor on the live stream tonight says, my wife and I were at the game in Austin, had an amazing time, invited to several tailgate parties thrown by Texas fans. Also, the entire place was a large carnival. Provo needs to step it up. Thank you for joining us. And Provo, BYU has stepped it up. I mean, I put our game day show out there with the crowd and the bands, and we're working on it.
Cougar Canyon is really cool.
Yeah, this is all new stuff for BYU, and I think the last couple of years we made great strides. And it's
by
pretty
the way,
festive out there.
visiting fans so far from the Big 12, Texas Tech fans in particular, visiting fans are going, wow. This is quite an environment here at BYU, and they feel like BYU, and this is a tribute to you, the BYU fans, have treated them very well. Nothing but positive feedback from visiting teams coming into Provo this year.
DJ, can you put up that picture of athletic director Tom Homo? Every Halloween, he raises the bar as the athletic director.
I didn't think he'd get any better.
Who does? This is Dumbledore. He, for those listening on the podcast, it is Tom Homo as Dumbledore. That's him.
It looks like Dumbledore. This is amazing.
And I heard an interesting thing. So we had a meeting with the Big 12. I think this is okay to say. He had a meeting with all the Big 12 ADs today on Halloween. He was the only one in costume. So you can imagine this gathering of all these ADs in their suits and whatever, answering to Dumbledore as the wizard in charge. I just can imagine the picture that paints.
Can you this? This is over the top.
Stuff.
So if you're listening to on the podcast, do yourself a favor. Go to ysguys.com and just go back to the episode and watch it. And just watch it for 13 minutes in just to see this costume that Tom Homo has on, or find it somewhere. It's amazing.
All right, DJ. Now
can you be Voldemort one year and Dumbledore the next? I think he was Voldemort last year.
If you're Tom, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want.
But I don't know that only Tom can pull that off. I don't think he can do both the name who should not be named and Dumbledore.
He's done it. DJ, could you also put up the BYU costumes for Saturday's game? This is the uniform configuration, which I think might be my favorite. It is the all whites with the royal trim.
You love that one.
White helmet, pants, shirt, royal stripe down the pant, and the royal numbers. I like that look.
Well, and their record...
5-0.
5-0 in that uni. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Hey, I want everything going BYU's night game, a uniform they've never lost in. We need all the karma that we can get. So, hey, and Jonathan Ashcraft, glad to have you back with us tonight.
Let's listen to Kalani Sitake as he set the tone for the week as BYU prepares for West Virginia. 3 minutes of the coach right here.
Yeah, another week. Just seems like the season's flying by, and so we've got 2/3 of it done. Heading up to our last third of the season, last month of the regular season. So we're sitting here right now at 5-3, looking back and having looking at it from a different view, seeing where we're at as a program. We're still in a good spot. Obviously, not happy with the results, especially last week, but. Looking back at it again and being able to evaluate it and take the emotions out of it, we were in a really good spot. I think going into that game, you want to be in a position where you're still in the battle. And going into the game, being down 2 scores, being down by 15 with 9 or 10 minutes left in the game, was a good position for us to be in. Even considering some of the difficulties and the adversity we had to deal with in the game, and we are still in it. And so the disappointing part is that they made the 2 touchdowns, we didn't. And so that's what happened in the remaining 10 minutes of the game. But I like that the guys kept fighting to the very end. We keep building off of that. Really good team in Texas, and I mentioned that before with Sark and that program, and just trying to learn the lessons from that and trying to get better to this week. And now going to this week against West Virginia on the road, back east, a different time zone. So it's going to be a long. Probably, I think this is the furthest we've traveled. So looking forward to that matchup. I think Neil does a great job coaching his guys, and you can see his background is on the offensive side, and so they're very explosive offensively. They could do so many things to you, and I think that's his background as an offensive guru, being a coordinator at the highest level, and then also being a head coach. I think he's establishing their identity on the field, and you can see that they can punish you in so many different ways. Really balanced team, but they have a quarterback that can. They have a bunch of quarterbacks, but they have a quarterback that can throw the ball, can run. Tough O-line, tough receivers that can. I mean, they average around 200 yards receiving and 200 yards rushing. So the receivers can turn a quick throw into a big gain. Tons of talent there, and big O-line that can pass pro and run block. And so you combine that with a big running back. I like the way the running backs run, but he's dangerous, and he can and he's big. He's literally a big guy and just can run over people. So, but he's got tons of speed. So this is a tough team on offense. And then you took a look at the defensive side. They're tough too. They're playing some really good football. Watching them on film, they take advantage of assignment sound football. They're tough and they're gritty. And I think it's going to be a good matchup for us. I'm looking forward to getting the best out of our guys against them because you can see it on film. I think I say that every week, but in the Big 12 Conference, there's not a lot of weaknesses out there. So we're going to be on the road. We've got to rally together and embrace the opportunity to play this game out in West Virginia. Looking forward to the cool traditions that they have. They have a passionate fan base, loves their team, and I know from talking to a lot of different people, been out there, it's a hard place to play. So looking forward to that. I like fans that care about their teams and have a lot of passion for it. And so I'm looking forward to hearing them all sing. It's going to be nice to hear them sing, Country Roads, Take Me Home. That's a cool song. And I think there's a lot of really cool things about college football, and I'm glad that we get to go be in that environment and to compete against West Virginia. Looking forward to the matchup. We have a lot of work to get done this week, but I feel like we've got to find a way to perform at our best and give us a chance to come away with a victory. Put ourselves in a better position than we were against Texas, but knowing that if we can kind of be in that, hopefully we can finish the game and find ways to have it work out on our side. So.
Head coach Kalani Sitake, and one thing they'll do as part of their preparation, we talked about earlier, they're going to leave on Thursday and fly back to West Virginia for the Saturday night game. That's the way they do it. When it's an East Coast game, they'll go a day earlier than normal.
1 day per time zone. So you go to if you're in your own time zone or you go one time zone east, you go a day ahead. If it's 2 time zones, you go 2 days ahead, which is pretty cool. He mentions Neil Brown, which Cougar fans will be interested in this connection because Neil grew up in Kentucky. He was an all-state wide receiver, and he went to Kentucky. They show his alma mater on his bio is UMass because that's where he graduated from. But he started at Kentucky as a wide receiver, and do you know who the offensive coordinator was at Kentucky when he was there? None other than Mike Leach. And Helmum was the head coach. Yeah. And so his background in offensive football comes from people that are BYU fans are very familiar with, and that's Mike Leach with his spread you out, multiple formations, all of that kind of spread throw game. And then he was the head coach at Troy University before he went to be the head coach at West Virginia. He's had a lot of success. He's been an OC, offensive coordinator. It's interesting to me that they do a lot of things in terms of formation and motions and all that, but this team this year is a 65% run team. He's got a quarterback in Garrett Green that can really run the football. So they run a lot of zone read, run pass, where he rides the back, and if the end comes down, that quarterback keeps it. And Garrett, he scored 3 touchdowns rushing the football last week. He has almost 500 yards rushing. He's their second leading rusher, but behind Donaldson, who Kalani described as a big bruiser at 6'1" and 240 pounds at running back. So really skilled offensive football team. With a head coach in Neil Brown that has his roots that go all the way back to the tutelage under offensive coordinator Mike Leach at Kentucky. That's where he kind of got his foundation. Has had great success. Yeah, I love watching this West Virginia team. When you watch them on tape, they're well coached.
3-2 in the Big 12. Again, picked last, and their coach was like, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. And it hasn't. They've been one of the great stories of the year so far. Here's the Cougar Board question of the week. If you're not sure about Cougar Board or familiar with it, it's the largest online community of BYU fans with thousands of posts each day. And Wise Guys is the largest live stream talk show in the world for BYU fans. We're talking about the largest online community on Cougar Board. Today's question is, it comes from 2 subscribers, from their insider subscribers, Dilbert and Foof Coog. Now, with names Dilbert and Foof Coog, you know it's going to be a good question.
It's got to be good.
Here it comes. Do you have any thoughts on why there's so much disorganization on the offense this year? We've never seen so many timeouts after a kickoff because the offense wasn't ready for the first play of their drive, or receivers having so much trouble figuring out who was supposed to be on the line or off of it. We saw again on Saturday when the offense was confused coming out of a timeout on 4th and goal from the 2 and had to call a second timeout, which got him a penalty because this year you can't call back-to-back timeouts. This is out of character for BYU. What's wrong this year that these problems keep happening and don't appear to be getting any better as the season goes on? I think that's the biggest thing that I've been asked about. People upset that it hasn't got any better. Not that the problems exist, they just haven't got any better. So that was a big, long question. What do you got?
Yeah, and we alluded a little bit to it earlier. And Kalani's just said, hey, offensively, we got to be more on the same page as a coaching staff. I think the challenge this staff has had to meld this group together with so many brand new players, I think we all got a little bit excited. Hey, we got, Laster's coming in from Eastern Michigan and Marion's coming in from back at UMass. And 3 new offensive linemen, all starters, Mile and Lapawahu and Eddie. And how about Aiden Robbins out of UNLV? And, hey, we've got this great new freshman running back, LJ Martin. And guess what? This quarterback's coming as a transfer from Pittsburgh. Guess what? Count them up, folks. That's 7 starters that were not in this program last year or any year before that. And I got caught up in this. Yeah, but look at how talented they are. Like, all this talent is going to overcome.
How can you not?
It's going to overcome continuity, right, Dave? Mm-hmm. But there's something to be said to playing a bunch of guys that have been in your system and running your stuff for a number of years. And I think the staff maybe overestimated what they could digest. We overestimated how well they would meld together and communicate and all that nonverbal that takes place out there. They've just had way too many mistakes. And it's partly on maybe the coaches trying to do too much with that group from a scheme perspective and all of that. And partly their inexperience in this. And so I'm thinking maybe they need to temper how many transfers they go out and get and how many are impact and how many they grow up in the program, because I think it's hard to win when you have the majority. That's 7 out of 11 starters. And then Keanu Hill and Cody Epps, who are supposed to be out there at wide receiver, have hardly played this year. Yeah, they're the experienced ones in this offense. And so I think it's a combination. I think the staff could do a better job of tailoring what they're calling in the schemes to what they have out there, maybe simplifying, and maybe overestimating how valuable just pure skill is versus should they be playing more guys that have been in the system for longer and know exactly what they're supposed to do?
Good question and a good answer, and let's hope we see some solutions on Saturday night at West Virginia.